Welcome back to Myrmidon Nation. In this episode, we'll get a look at the colonies after the move, and yes, we successfully made it to Texas. First, we'll get a look at the Miramicosis Navajo. This colony took a little bit of a beating during the move, but thankfully, these are not full-size repletes yet, so they were able to crawl back up onto the hang space themselves, and looks like they have recovered quite well. So far, this queen is the only one out of all my honey pots that I founded that stayed repleted after getting her own repletes in the colony. I'm not sure if this is bad or good. She's also quit laying eggs probably about a month ago. Still has tons of larvae. I think maybe they're just slowing down for the winter because for the most part they keep the nest entrance completely sealed off. And I only see a few workers in the outworld every once in a while. They're also not taking much protein and only living off of carbohydrates, very rarely even at that. But all in all, I think this colony is still doing really well. They're up to about 5 repletes, I'd say 50 or 60 workers, and yeah, they're still doing really well. Here we're going to get a look at the Pogonomy Mix of Nitidus. This colony was in the ant shack earth tower, and I removed them because I didn't feel like they were doing very well in there, and I was noticing more than a handful of workers had died, so I recently just moved them into this Tar Heel Mini Hearth XL. And again, I think this colony is going through what some would call semi-diapause, and it's just a natural slowing down during the winter season. I just transferred them in here, so I'll be looking to see if they start taking seeds again, and I will offer them some fruit flies at the end of the week, and hopefully the queen will start laying again. Other than that, this colony seems to be doing pretty well. They're decent numbers, maybe 20 or 30. As you see there, the workers knocked the queen down. But yeah, all in all, we'll keep an eye on this colony and keep you guys updated. And here we have a look at the Dory Miramix Mexicanus. Not a lot to report with this colony, still doing well in numbers. They have also slowed down on protein intake and brood production. This colony I am going to be making a naturalistic setup soon for that will just be cut and dry, a substrate filled box with some gravel lining the bottom so that it will hold and retain humidity well, and they will be completely natural. So I will not be able to see the queen very often, but I'll be able to see the type of mound that they build and just watch their activity that way. So stay tuned for that in a future episode. And last but not least, we have the Miramikosis Mexicanus. This was definitely my most advanced colony before the move, and they definitely took the worst beating out of all the colonies. Luckily, this was a very good and strong genetics having queen, and she bounced back pretty quick, and I'm gonna have to keep you guys updated and kind of show you the aftermath of what happened and how fast she's bounced back within the last week. So after the move, I was already aware that there was some bad damage, but after another trip back and forth to Cali to Texas, I came back to this. The cleaning lady had dropped my colonies on the ground and left them disconnected for up to 4 days. So between the damage of the first trip here, just rattling repletes off of their hanging space, and then the cleaning lady dropped them, we actually lost almost all but maybe 2 or 3 repletes. So the repletes you're seeing now have been produced within the last week. And I tried hand moving them into this nest because some of the pupa had begun to mold because they had got wet from the drop. So you'll notice that there is a couple on the ground there that died within the last couple days because they did not survive the second move into this new nest. And then the rest of the repletes you see hanging are all newly produced within the last week. Something interesting to point out here is I've noticed that when a replete dies, they keep the storage tank for later. At least that's my theory, because these storage tanks seem to stay around for quite some time until they are consumed by the colony. And here you can see a good pile of pupa, and then there are some larvae there in the background. It's kind of harder to see. You can also see some newer repletes walking around. I've noticed that some of the repletes will take, 3 days up to a week to fully distend. And here you'll get kind of a close-up of the fallen repletes. 90% of the time when a replete has reached kind of full maturity, it's a larger size worker before it begins to replete. When they fall, they usually die because they're unable to move. Even when colonies move naturally, I've heard that they will abandon all the repletes in the old nest and start over. This is the best shot I could get of the queen at this time. She still looks really healthy and seems to have handled the trauma quite well. I've noticed a bunch of new eggs, and I've also began feeding them 4 times a week to try to get them to bounce back as quick as possible. And here you'll notice some of the newer repletes of 3 different colors actually. I've been switching between sunburst and nectar, and it looks like some of them get mixed and turn pink. Also, you'll notice in the background, this is one of their 3 brood piles. And here's another quick shot of brood pile number 2. And this is the 3rd pile of brood on the 2nd level of the nest. And here's just a final shot of the inside of the nest. I'm really excited to see this colony really fill up both levels with repletes, and hopefully they just continue to keep doing good, as they're probably my favorite colony, and they were one of my dream species when I first got into ant keeping. So pretty amazing I was able to catch these myself, even though it was a 19-hour round trip, and ended up with a really, really good queen out of the bunch. Thank you guys for tuning in to this week's episode of Miramicosis Nation. With my new work schedule, I will probably be bumping it down to 1 upload a week, but I will continue to do uploads. I'll do a mixture of colony updates and DIY. Our next episode is going to be a DIY on how to raise your own fruit flies using the Josh's Frogs Fruit Fly Culture Kit. You can save yourself hundreds of dollars if you feed as much fruit flies as I do during the peak season. So stay tuned for that. Thank you guys again for watching. Feel free to like, subscribe, share, and go ahead and hit the bell icon so you get updated whenever I upload new videos. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.